fast after it. Whereas if you catch someone with end light, they might not have some jumps or something like that.
So we've got grand finals coming up here. And this is Keith and Tiger fighting their way through the elimination bracket to go up against Sire and Vortex. Sire has had a few different legend picks, many of them having the hammer. We saw that Bodvar coming out after that game 4 win in the winners final, and now opening up the Nash here for game number 1 of this grand final, which is interesting to see. Keith, we go with that recovery. We talked about that in the last set, right? Recovery, not a knockout move on boots, thankfully. Still a lot of good damage there, but he's going to have to hit with something a little bit stronger. I don't know. Keith's just flying around there, and Tiger's just cleaning up.
Yeah, I don't know. Nash is a pick for sure. There was a time where he was like...
Nash is a pick for sure.
You know, definitely... I mean, we've been talking about how Spear has like become really meta, so I see it. But then it's like, it's clear that Sire must think, I want the hammer. I need the hammer. And I'm like, I don't know that you do, bro. But we'll see.
I mean, in doubles, I still even before the slight buffs that's been getting, I've never really felt like hammer was a terrible option when you're picking just a heavy weapon that hits, right? Because like hammer fell out of popularity when whiffing your downlight meant that you were stuck on the ground for like 5 hours, and that's why a lot of players don't play it in singles. But in doubles, you just can side air, and that's good enough, especially when you're alley-ooping.
It's interesting because it's like, I think one of the biggest affordances of hammer is what it can do off stage, right? Because if your plan is to kind of like throw out side airs, like you could play X, you know, you could just like, you know, play something that has a similar game plan, but like a little bit more freedom of variability. But with that said, I mean, Nash also does have these wild signatures, right? And there we go, stomps there, get one. Oh, drop the combo.
But there's what you're talking about. Even though it was on stage, it's the grapple part of the grapple hammer that is what makes it very special off stage, with those reversals up and down with recovery or down air. Sire does go down to 1 stock though. It is 4 stocks to 3 as that signature knocks out Vortex, and Keith is pretty healthy here on the 2nd stock. We're seeing, all right, I'm seeing the down to come out a lot more. It gets punished a few times, but for the most part, it's been getting Keith a lot of mileage.
I was a little surprised that with that down sig, he didn't kind of drift off of the platform.
To the left of the plat,
Make you not get punished for sure there, but still not a bad option. And this is actually looking really good for Tiger and Keith here. Tiger just kind of needs to hang on though. Oh, Vortex.
I don't think he can hold on for much longer. Keith's kind of been flying around unarmed, and Keith finally realizes, oh wait, Tiger, where all this damage come from? And Tiger's a recovery away from that's the stock. Recovery comes in from Sire, and there's Sire really honestly demonstrating why he's picking the hammer, honestly. You were talking about that you picked the hammer over the axe because of the offstage capabilities there, and that has nothing to do with the stomp. Sire just gets that recovery, and he spikes Keith off the left side of the stage.
Oh gosh, got the recovery. And that's the thing, hammer is the only weapon in the game that's like that, I think is viable in 2s, right? Like,
well, I mean, Gauntlets has Nair.
Gauntlets has Nair, but it's different.
What do you
like
mean?
Specifically like a disjoint that you can throw out that you can use to like get cheesy stocks like that. Scythe would be another one of those weapons, but doesn't have any true conversions. That's
right. And Scythe is traditionally more of a singles weapon.
Right.
Like we talk a lot about like these few weapons where like this is rare to see in doubles, and there's Scythe and Lance and Cannon, I guess. Although Cannon became way more popular because of Snowy.
Yeah.
And like Onyx is just like when Gauntlets was around and Cannon was really going crazy, that was the case. But yeah, that was really well played by Sire. And I mean, Vortex as well been a huge staple with the Atori the whole way through. But Sire with the Nash looking great. And yeah, you're saying interesting because behind us we've got Roland on Keith with Tiger, and Roland is like, I would say, a staple 2s pick back in 2016. But
honestly,
but it's been a minute.
Roland is good. That's my opinion.
All right.
I think Roland's been good.
So what stops anybody from wanting to pick this character?
He's slow. That's kind of it.
I
think it's slow.
His signatures are slow too.
The signatures, I think, are honestly like pretty good for 2s, especially Lance down signature. Like, it gets you some really early KOs. I think the neutral signature, everyone seems to hate on it, but I also think it's really good, especially in 2s. It covers a spot for so long that like it kind of forces people to go another way. If you're not hitting them with it, it should be a lot easier for your teammate to capitalize. But Neutral sig on sword, still one of the best in the game. You know, like it's hard to argue with that move.
And down six, the original Zol down six,
yes.
right? On sword. Keith gets that side air. Vortex tries to get the punish there. Let's see if the knockout goes in favor of blue team. And Roland also has what at least in the inception of Brawlhalla, only Roland and Queen Nai really had, which was that 8 defense, right? And that's something that you get sword, which is a staple. We were talking about one of those staple weapons in any 2's meta. And you get the lance, which kind of hasn't gone away since like 2018. I feel like it's always been pretty nice to have in 2's. And then you got a really tanky stat line. So it just becomes a matter of whether you become a specialist with the character or not. So I could see why you're saying, like, yeah, I think Roland's just good. On paper, looks pretty fantastic. In the same way that Ada does, I feel like.
Yeah, I agree.
And just never gets played.
Is there something about him? I don't know why he's just like not as popular.
Just be the beard.
Yeah, screw beards, yeah.
I don't know. It's like, this is default role that Keith is playing, right?
I think so, yeah.
Big challenge. Just brings it out after the Tesca doesn't get him a win. Vortex and Sire are down a stock, barely. Tiger could go down to a lot right now, but if Sire can't pick up a weapon, he's probably living for a lot longer.
Oh. Okay, big damage here. Sidelights there. We're going to get a little bit racked up here, and that down sig is exactly why I love Roland.
Yeah.
You see how fast that is?
Yeah, and he puts a little reel back, and then it's like the range of the lance in his hand multiplied by 2.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's quite a good move.
And it hits like the lip of the edge as well. So like if people are trying to do a sneaky, like in the same spot where you'd use a sword D-like to try to catch someone, you can just use down sig, and they are most likely going to lose their stop.
So Keith goes down around the same time that Tiger does. Vortex and Sire are pretty harshly damaged. And it's going to be up to both of them getting these team combos here. And Tiger's just batting them away with side airs, and it's working out so well. Sire's got his weapon of choice, however. Dash jumps in with a side air. Tiger's hit maybe 3 side airs now. I think Red Team's really poised to win this game, too, at this rate.
Yeah, I agree. Especially if you're Keith, I'm just starting to throw out N-Sigs now. You know, like you're at the point where like you may as well throw out a few swings. D-Light recovery is also a good option. We'll see Sire.
Down to the ledge here, maybe.
Oh.
No, goes for the downlight instead. Yeah, so on those 3 options that you said Sword has, Roland gets a 4th. With,
exactly.
With the downsig on Sword. And that is a solid game 2 coming out from Tiger and Keith. Now, Sire and Vortex, not Vortex, but Sire has shown that he's like, he's played like 4 or 5 different Legends right now, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's kind of like, all right, the Nash has lost its luster. It's time to switch over to Bodvar or something. No, okay, Vortex actually switches to Bryn. We see it in the bans right now. I mean, we do. The replays are going on the screen, but we can just see right here that a solid Sire from Tiger gets them the GG. And Sire goes back to Bodvar. Vortex brings out the Bryn.
Okay, and I'm okay with that. I think Bodvar, comparison to Nash, like, I don't think the spear was really doing much for them. You know, it wasn't like bad, but like it wasn't really like popping off or anything. Clearly he wants the hammer, so he's like...
in Nash's signature kit wasn't like the reason why the character was succeeding, and I feel like the downsig on Bodvar is just so unique in the potential that it has to just eliminate a stock and orange if you catch it at the right time. But Keith popping off with the lance right now against Vortex. I wonder if Vortex is off of the sword and onto the axe here because of Keith on Lance. I've always favored, at least in doubles, having Axe Neutralite to stop a lot of Lance's approaches, and I wonder if Keith is thinking the same thing, because Axe Downlight's also very good as an anti-air as well.
No, I have to agree. I mean, in terms of like even matchups for Rocket Lance, like since the ancient scrolls of old, Axe has always been pretty miserable for Rocket Lance to deal with. And so like just throwing one on the team is probably going to make it a lot easier. I know for me, if I was having trouble dealing with Lance, I would swap to an Axe Legend.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful punish.
Great. Yeah, really great spacing on that. Sire goes all the way down for that recovery, and even though he didn't hit Keith, he was still setting up to hit his teammate on the way back. And Tiger, in under a minute, is down to 1 stock.
Yeah, what the heck? Hold on, they're cooking now.
I mean, Tiger might be out before Keith loses a stock. This is looking brutal. And we can see that Sire is really putting the pressure on the Tiger there. Okay, there he is, going up to bat with that neutral signature.
It's
Keith,
so good.
Has the lance, maybe down to come through here. No stomp, Sire and Vortex. Oh, the team combo was almost perfect. Sire ends up expecting him to go high, but Vortex carries him to the side of the stage. But Tiger is just a hit away from making this just a...
Jeez.
All right, it's just, at this point, it's a long, miserable one. 1v2, right? Like, I mean, we'll see. It's been a while since I've seen somebody this healthy.
This has happened
before.
It has happened. It's rare, but it has happened before. Usually an SD is required by the enemy team, though. But
Right. Vortex doesn't seem like he's messing around with that, though.
Burn the recovery there, so you're gone. You're gone.
Stop into recovery. Weapon throw, and he goes back down to pick the weapon up before going back to stage. Sire destroyed Keith there. That was... And Vortex just looked at him and was like, okay, I trust you.
Oh,
we didn't DI off
no
the second
DI,
neutral.
yeah.
You gotta,
no dodge.
Like DI is activated when you get hit by the same move twice, but you have to use it. And that's in Brawlhalla with directional influence, it's one of those things where it only comes through if you get hit by the same move multiple times while in the same hit stun chain. But if you press no button, they could theoretically
they could wobble
you.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you just decide not to move. That was brutal.
Jeez.
Keith did it. I don't think he landed a hit. That was destruction. And they're going up 2-1 in this grand final. And if Sire and Vortex win this next one, that's it. They're the champions here in the Spring Championship for Southeast Asia.
Yeah, and honestly, with the way that I don't know what happened that game. You know,
Tiger got destroyed. He switched off the Koji, and it didn't look pretty. That's really what happened.
Oh, and he tried, and I like that though. You know, from Keith there, like
Stop.
A lot of times people just get hit by that. Like sometimes you just get that down air Sire for free, but it's always a mini game. Is he gonna jump? Is he not gonna jump? Is he gonna fast fall out of hit stun? I don't know. But in that scenario, Sire decided to jump, and so the Sire did not hit, and that's okay. But I would have gone for the exact same play because people just kind of stand still when they get hit by rocket launch.
We got Tiger back on the Koji, and that's what I was hoping to see. Because you were like, what happened that last game? I was like, I think that was the case, right? He was on the Ragnar, and he lost 3 stocks in like a minute 30. It was pretty brutal. And the Koji, I think, has been a staple for him going into this. So if they want to bring this to a game number 5, this is the comp they're going to go for. Surprised that Keith is on the Asuri. Keith's played quite a few Legends, though. So at this point, I guess I shouldn't be surprised by anything that he picks. And almost all of them have been pretty good 2s picks, I feel like, besides the Tesca, which I think is still experimental in my mind.
Yeah, no, I think it def was, and even with the Tesca, they were able to at least get a dub, so definitely not too shabby for certain. That's enough time to whiff, turn around, and do it again and still get the team combo. Bryn, or excuse me, Barbara.
I think it's Barbara, actually.
Barbara.
Yeah. I learned that after 2 years of saying Barbara instead.
Interesting, but because she's a barbarian, so it's
so it's Barbara.
Barbara.
Yeah.
I'm like
looking
isn't
over
Barbara
at
spelled the
right
same
now,
way?
Like across the room to see if he's listening and he would confirm, but I don't think he's listening. Maybe he'll listen a little bit. Anyways, back to this. It's grand finals. We've got Bryn and Bodvar going up against Keith and Tiger, and Keith, with that neutral light, gets a little bit of extra damage here, but this is the closest that it's been between the two teams so far in this Game 4 scenario. Of course, Sire and Vortex not only up a game, but up a set.
Oh,
right?
oh.
So,
yeah, Sire showing that he still got it with this hammer. Getting stomps into recovery, stomps into Sire, stomps into Nair. You name it, Sire got it. As we're looking at what might potentially be the final round of the tournament here, as we're seeing the red team struggle a little bit, but they're hanging on by a thread here. They have a slight advantage. Can they force the Game 5?
oh, do you like?
What?
Oh, he just dropped. I mean, that's all on Vortex, right? Sire was getting ready for the alley-oop. He puts the down tick there, but that was like down light into nothing. You don't want to see that in these high-pressure scenarios. Tiger gets the ground pound. That could have led to a lot more. We've got ourselves a really close Game 4 here. Eyes on Tiger and on Vortex at this point in time. Keith, I think, is doing a good job avoiding getting hit here. Tiger, however, that's the second time we've seen Vortex get that down light. At least that time it was interrupted by Keith, but Tiger and Sire are now the ones taking the most damage, and Keith with the corner guard. Can he get this?
Sire's in trouble.
He's down.
Okay.
Now it's Vortex in the 1v2, and that side stick off the platform is just a quick 2-stock for the red team there. A lot of the damage and just honestly all the knockouts coming out from Keith there. But Tiger on the Koji at least means that he's not getting immediately eliminated that we saw like in that previous game. And they bring it to a Game 5.
Okay, they managed to do it. Have the potential to force the reset here in a very convincing Game number 4. I mean, yeah, man, stay on the Koji, bro.
Yeah,
stay on the Koji.
I think Vortex is like, after the Bryn games, was like, all right, the Hattori's been doing great. Sire, however, I think has found a really comfortable home on the Bodvar when it comes to just a hammer legend that he wants to play in doubles. And Miami Dome is going to be the field for game number 5. Winner of this, it's different for either team. If Vortex and Sire win, they are the champions here in the Spring Championship. Whereas if Tiger and Keith win, they bring it to a bracket reset, and we go into game 1 of the next best of 5, where winner takes all in that case. So here we go. Keith opening up with a ton of damage on his person. And Sire getting that side, or trying to get that side. Saying, oh no, he doesn't get the recovery or the Sare. Falls pretty low, but he does make it back.
Oh, man, this is going to be interesting. I mean, we're getting down to the thick of it, and we're seeing Keith on the Sasuri trying to rack up this damage. Goes for a down sig, expecting a low option. That gives some time for Sire and Vortex to set up for a 2v1 on Tiger. Tiger biding some time, and they actually find a huge swing on KeiththePooPoo.
Yeah, Slider from Vortex comes through, but it bounces him off the stage. He's waiting for a weapon spawn, but they're doing a great job denying a team combo to Keith. Oh, Vortex, if he doesn't drop that, those are those moments where it's perfect. You hit the opponent away when they're high damage. You get them caught in that 1v2 combo or the 2v1 combo. Get a ton of damage there, but the Sider misses, and Sire ends up hitting a heavy side signature attack. Keith, tons of damage on him here, and Vortex can't interrupt the true combo of the D-Light Sider there. Goes for the edge guard here, and Keith could get a double knockout if he's not careful. Okay, Vortex comes back, and Sire picks up a hammer.
Yeah, you got to be careful here. I mean, at this point, everything is on the line, and you can feel the nerves coming out from the players a little bit. They're dropping some of the day ones, you know, like you practiced this. Hold on, we got a wild sequence off stage here. Big save from Sire to go ahead and set Tiger back off stage. Vortex getting the swing and turning around to get Tiger
all the way out there to the edge of the stage to get that hammer there, and that's like, honestly, that's knocking out a yellow.
Keith has 1 stock.
Yeah, Keith's 1 stock. Tiger takes Vortex's first stock. And Sire with the gravity cancel scoop, getting that recovery, or rather, to bring him towards the bottom of the stage. Great combos coming out from Sire. He does throw his hammer away. Weapon spawn comes through. D-Light Nair just barely does a knockout, and Vortex almost takes down Tiger's 2nd stock here. And Sire, does he get the reversal here? Weapon throw, dive kick. Vortex goes for the recovery. Tiger barely survives.
Suddenly things are close again. They need 1 clean hit on Tiger to knock him out. It's not like Koji has the highest amount of defense here. And Sire's looking for something. Give me a D-Light recovery. He says no. Tiger says in response and gets a D-Light and Light, racking up all this extra damage, but finally does go down. And now the blue team with a slight lead here, but this can turn at the... Oh my jeez!
Yeah, that D-Light recovery, I can't believe it didn't knock out. Like, I thought it was going to turn right there as you were talking about it, but Keith manages to hold on. Sire gets through here. Okay, so Sire is the weak link for the blue team. Oh no! Okay, that downer just barely doesn't hit, and Vortex is like, I'm hitting you with a recovery just to get you out of that situation because he's so worried that Sire is going to go down to an edge guard from Tiger. D-Light Sider comes through. Keith narrowly doesn't get the dunk onto Sire. Sire, at this point, just run for your life here. Vortex has got those 2 stocks. Let him be the aggressor. Keith does get him, and now it's a 1v2, although a really stacked 1v2 in Vortex's favor.
Yeah, and at this point, I mean, Vortex is like, I just got to hit you with 1 D-Light recovery, but Keith's not going to make it easy.
Keith's just got to hit him with Nair, neutral signature, right? Like, I mean, and Keith could do it. Keith's crazy on the guitars. Vortex comes in with the spear.
This is going to be tough. Weapon throw. You're going to jab, jab, jab. And what's the plan here? You got a lot of opportunity to make mistakes here if you're Vortex. Keith just slashing away at him, and that's what... Oh, you got caught.
D-Light recovery, though, is not going to do it. The Sider was almost the obvious choice there for the edge guard. Side-stick dodge out of the way. Oh, Flambeau, Keith could do this.
He could.
Vortex gave up his 1 win there in neutral. Falling Sider gets it. Vortex.
You better watch out before he spear ground pounds you and says, screw it, I'm done.
Oh, Keith weighing out, holding on the guitars. Down light,
big.
Dare. Goes to the Sare. Vortex doesn't even want to try to go for the reversal. He's just looking for 1 solid hit. Sider connects, and Keith goes down, and there it is. Vortex wins the 1v1. And Vortex and Sire are your Southeast Asia Spring Champions for 2v2s here in 2023. What a wonderful finish there coming out from Vortex. That was scary. I mean, Keith was bringing that back. It was like, I looked at that and I was like, okay, you dropped your 1 knockout combo and Keith's on guitars. Like, this was the moment where I thought the game was lost, and the Sare just barely doesn't hit. He had to delay the Sare.